The NFL draft tells a story. The players, the teams they go to, everything is just a part of the story. Individually, they don't mean that much, though we pretend they do. But if you put them all together and you're really listening, sometimes you can follow them. Most of them have been told before, and few are surprising. This is the last part of our NFL draft series where we try to follow the stories so we can use them in our fantasy football rookie drafts. We look at tape, metrics, and stats for these rookies, as well as the existing depth charts and the contracts for those players. By the end, I guarantee two things. One, you'll know exactly who to draft in your rookie drafts. And two, I will suffer zero accountability for being wrong. This is the NFC West. Welcome to Shutout Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus, that's Kevin, and if you can let Jesus or Incubus take the wheel and steer, you might as well at least give us a couple minutes of lukewarm football takes. Seattle Seahawks. They addressed most of their needs by letting the draft come to them. They also took a couple of unexpected swings along the way. Winners. Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Still a starter. Every time you think he's dead, he pops up somewhere else. He's like a fantasy cockroach. Losers. A.J. Barner. His stock took a hit when they drafted a Noah Fant clone to replace Noah Fant. In the second round, they took Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami. He's big, athletic, he's a good route runner with natural hands, adjusts well in coverage to find space and make himself available to the quarterback. His blocking is so-so. He's best used as a move tight end to go vertical. His comp is Noah Fant. He's 6'5", 250 pounds, he runs a 4.64. I love his size and his speed, but there are some concerns with his medicals. He didn't run at the combine because he injured his knee at the Senior Bowl. In college, he had 4 years of production, 46 receptions, 753 yards receiving, 8 total touchdowns. That's low production because of another knee injury that stole a chunk of 2 seasons from him. The depth chart is Noah Fant, A.J. Barner, and Eric Saubert. Fant is 27 years old. He's in the final year of his contract. There are rumors that he could be traded. Barner is 23 years old. He was a 4th-round pick from last year. He had a fair rookie season, but he doesn't provide the upside that Arroyo does. That being said, I haven't written him off for dead just quite yet. He remains a hold for me. Second-round draft capital is pretty rich for a tight end, and that speaks pretty loudly for the Seahawks. I thought this was a tight end-rich draft, but there was a clear drop after the top 5. Arroyo was the last of those 5 to be drafted. Whether it's this year or next, Arroyo appears to be the Noah Fant replacement here. And he's being drafted that way in rookie drafts, going before Terrance Ferguson and sometimes even before Mason Taylor. The upside is just too attractive, which is fine for me. While I'm in on Elijah Arroyo, I am slightly concerned about his medical history here, and there is one tight end that I would prefer drafting before him. In the 3rd round, they took Jalen Milroe, quarterback out of Alabama. Milroe is very mobile. He has a good arm. He can make all the throws. He has a quick release. The issue is consistency. All the things that I said about Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck could be said here too. He also has a habit of leaving the pocket too early. I've seen him comp to Malik Willis, Cordell Stewart, and even Lamar Jackson if you can believe it. Personally, I saw an unpolished Jalen Hurts. Milroe is 6'2", 217 pounds. He runs a 4.51, which comes from his pro day. He didn't test at the combine. In college, he had 4 years of production with 6,016 yards passing, 45 total touchdowns, 20 interceptions. That is some mixed numbers. I don't like the double-digit interceptions last year. The depth chart is Sam Darnold and Drew Lock. Darnold is 27 years old. He just got a 3-year contract. There is an out after 2026, but it would cost them $25 million in dead cap money and even $19 million in 2027. Darnold is the plan here, at least for 2 years. Locke is 28 years old. He's on a 2-year deal with an out after this season. I don't think that Jalen Milroe is the risky big swing that everyone else is making him out to be. I thought he had the tools and the traits to become an NFL starter even before he was drafted. But now, he has the time. Time to develop behind an experienced vet without the pressure to start. Let him learn the system, learn the team, learn how to be a pro. All good things for Jalen Milroe's future, but not great for fantasy. Fantasy Pros currently shows him being drafted 37th overall. That's too rich for me. I will take running backs and wide receivers down to the bone while other guys are drafting Jalen Milroe. The only way he ends up on my team is if I can get a discount. I'm not paying Michael Penix prices for Jalen Milroe merchandise. I don't give a f*** about inflation. In the 5th round, they took Tory Horton, wide receiver out of Colorado State. Horton shows game-breaking speed. He can play inside or out. He can be used in the return game. He's got good stop-and-go quickness, plays with leverage. He's a good receiver who always seems like he's just shy of breaking something off bigger. His comp was chosen Robbie Anderson. Horton is 6'3", 196 pounds. He runs a 4.41. He's got an RAS of 9.83. In college, he had 5 years of production between Nevada. No, wait, let me say it right. 5 years of production between Nevada and Colorado State. 265 receptions, 3,615 yards receiving. That is 2,000-yard seasons. His final season was cut short by a knee injury. He had 27 total touchdowns. That is a shitload of production, which is oddly how I measure things, in loads of shit. The depth chart is Cooper Kupp, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Jake Bobo, and Ricky White III. Kupp is 31 years old. He missed 4 games last year with a high ankle sprain. And he does come with some durability concerns. He's suffered a lot of injuries over the past 8 seasons. He's on a 3-year contract, but there is an out after this season. Next year, his cap is twice what it is this season, nearly $18 million. So whether he actually sees all 3 years of that contract comes with some ifs. Smith-Njigba is 23 years old. He's got 2 years left on his deal, 3 if the team exercises his 5th-year option. Last year, he broke out and led the Seahawks in receiving with over 1,100 yards. MVS is 30 years old. He's on a 1-year deal. He had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns last season, but most of it came after Week 9. He was functional for the desperate. Bobo is 26 years old. He's on the final year of his deal. I know he's a fan favorite because of his clown name, but I am not a fan of wide receivers with 40 times slower than offensive linemen. White is a pretty interesting UDFA from this year. He's actually worth a look. This depth chart is ripe for disruption next year. Only JSN is written in stone for the future. Tory Horton is currently projected to be the punt returner here, and I don't expect much beyond that here in his rookie year. Long-term, he has the potential to be more. There's a path to a bigger role next season. However, there's also no guarantee that it's his path. It could all get blown up by additions next offseason via free agency or the draft. Horton's draft capital promises nothing more than a look. Fantasy Pros currently has Tory Horton's ADP about 43rd overall, near Chimere Dike and Jalen Lane. They all have upside, they all come with risk. Grab your guy and just know that none of them might be worth a fat stack of farts next year when they draft some guy named Brad in the 2nd. Los Angeles Rams. My 3rd favorite team made a splash in the draft by having the courage to draft Pooh. I shit you not. Chris Paul Jr. in the 5th. I guess his nickname is Pooh, and since the draft, it's been updated on NFL.com as Pooh Paul Jr. Offenses are about to get covered in poo. I am a child. Winners. Omar Speights. The Rams needed an inside linebacker. They got one in Pooey June. But despite how he's projected on Our Lads right now, behind Speights, most actually believe he'll be the Troy Reader replacement, meaning Speights could remain a starter this season. Losers. Blake Corum. Just like Anakin, he was the chosen one, but he let us down, and now there's a new Padawan here to destroy him. We have all been there. In the 2nd round, they took Terrance Ferguson, tight end out of Oregon. He displays good hands and body control, adequate blocking. He's a big dude with a big catch radius. He gets good yards after catch, sheds defenders with a good stiff arm move. Ferguson is 6'5", 247 pounds, so he's big, he's fast. He looks like the love child of Dan Campbell and Carrot Top. He runs a 4.63 with a 94th percentile burst, and he's got an RAS of 9.32. In college, he had 4 years of production, 134 receptions, 1,537 yards receiving, 16 total touchdowns. 70% of his catches went for first downs or touchdowns. The depth chart is Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, and Davis Allen. Higbee is 32 years old. He's on the final year of his contract. He only played 3 games last season due to an injury. Parkinson is 26 years old. He has 2 years left on his contract with an out after this season. Allen is 24 years old. He has 2 years left on his deal. I loved Terrance Ferguson going into the draft. He checks all the boxes for me, and I love his tape. but his landing spot is what gives him an extra boost. Think about every other top tight end in this draft. The coach they went to, the quarterback that they're married to. Ferguson landed in the best spot out of all of them. He got Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford and a year to learn behind Tyler Higbee, who I believe he'll take over for next year, maybe even sooner given Tyler Higbee's injury history. Ferguson is the tight end that I would draft over Arroyo, and the Rams agreed because they chose him over Arroyo too. Yet, somehow when it comes to your rookie drafts, Ferguson is the forgotten man in the top 5, and for that, I say thank you. He could stand some development in his blocking, but for fantasy, I will take every share that I can get of him. I try not to pound the table too much for any one player because you should stay water in your drafts and just take the best person available, and also because I don't have a table here, it just wasn't in the budget. But hear me pound one out. Nope, that doesn't sound right. Grab T. Fergie. He is gonna be a good one. In the 3rd round, they took Josiah Stewart, edge out of Michigan. Well, shit, the Rams got another one. Stewart is a beast off the edge with a never-ending motor, but he's also good in coverage too. He shows quick hands to swat away blockers and get inside. I don't know what it means to look like a Ram, but he does. His comp was Azeez Ojulari. Stewart is 6'1", 249 pounds, so he's a little short for the position. 4 years of production between Coastal Carolina and Michigan, 150 combined tackles, 48 tackles for a loss, 30 sacks, 6 fumbles forced. Those are solid numbers, and he showed versatility playing multiple positions along the way. The depth chart is Byron Young and Keir Thomas. Young is 27 years old. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Thomas is 27 years old. He's on a 1-year deal. He'll also be playing opposite Jared Verse and Brennan Jackson. Like I said, he's a little short for the position, but he's only an inch shorter than Byron Young, and there's no doubt in watching his tape or looking at his stats. He is a player. The real question is opportunity on this Rams defense. I think he'll be involved, but I can't predict how much or how often, and for that, I'm only putting him on my watch list until I get a better picture. In the 4th round, they took Jarquez Hunter, running back out of Auburn. He's quick around the corner, patient to find a seam. He has good long speed. He's creative, sometimes taking unexpected cuts or angles on defenders. He was projected to be drafted in the 5th or 6th. The Rams traded into the 4th to take him. His comp was Darrell Henderson. Hunter is 5'9", 204 pounds. He runs a 4.44 with a 39th percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 7.17. In college, he had 4 years of production with 3,371 yards rushing, 63 receptions, 558 yards receiving, 29 total touchdowns. The depth chart is Kyren Williams, Blake Corum, and Ronnie Rivers. Williams is 24 years old. He's on the final year of his contract, but the rumor is the Rams are working to extend him. Corum is 24 years old. He's a 3rd-round pick from last year. He had a very unproductive rookie season and injured his forearm in the final regular season game. Oh, what a mess. Good for the Rams, but bad for fantasy. So are they going to go with the hot hand here? Because that is so many hands. Okay, Kyren Williams is still the lead back here. There's no reason to think that he's not. Even if they move on from him next year, they are going to run the holy piss out of him before he ever touches the parking lot. But who gets second reps? Well, my gut says Jarquez Hunter. They waited as long as they could in this draft, but they weren't going to risk losing him. He's not a backup. He's the plan going forward, or part of it, as a rookie and beyond. They want to generate some long runs, and that's really not been Kyren Williams' game to this point. He's a good player, but we've known since he was drafted that he doesn't have elite long speed. It's the reason that I faded him. He gets first downs, he gets touchdowns, but he's more of a death by 1,000 cuts runner. If I were a Kyren Williams manager, I would look to sell high this season after a few big games. In a rookie draft, I'd take Jarquez Hunter at cost, which is about 31st overall right now. Don't reach, he's good, but let the situation play out. And if I were a sneaky little scamp, I would try and buy low on Blake Corum because the value is depressed, but he's not dead yet. And though the opportunity winds have shifted, I still believe in the player. Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals went full defense outside of a guard in the 6th. I wonder which side of the ball I'll be talking about here. Winners. No one. Management looked at this below 500 team and said, let's run it back. Losers. Kyler Murray. Needs some help? None is coming. In the third round, they took Jordan Birch, edge out of Oregon. He's a big, strong dude with a long reach. He bullies through blockers to pull ball carriers down. His comp was Deo Dengbo. Birch is 6'4", 279 pounds. He runs a 4.68. He had 5 years of production in college between South Carolina and Oregon. 170 combined tackles, 16 sacks, 1 fumble forced. The depth chart is Baron Browning and Zaven Collins. Browning is 26 years old. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Collins is 26 years old. He has 2 years left on his deal with an out after this season. They could easily cut him next year. Jordan Birch is another one for your watch list. I like him, but I think he's a year away from being fantasy relevant. If he's the Zaven Collins replacement here, they'll test that out before the season's end. In the fourth round, they took Cody Simon, linebacker out of Ohio State. He shows good instincts. He's a technically sound tackler. He can play special teams, and he has the potential to be an every down player. Simon is 6'2", 229 pounds. He runs a 4.66 with a 48th percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 8.35. In college, he had 5 years of production with 259 combined tackles, 25 for a loss, 10 sacks, 1 interception, 1 fumble forced. The depth chart is Mack Wilson Sr. and Michael Walker. Wilson is 27 years old. He has 2 years left on his contract. They could cut him whenever, and if they do, I think it will be next season. Mack actually announced the Cody Simon pick. That's interesting. Walker's 27 years old. He's on a 1-year deal. Neither Cody Simon's tape nor his metrics blew me away, but they're not negatives. And to be honest, I don't think much of Mack Wilson. I think it's very possible that Simon could play his way into a starting role this season, and if he can, how well he does with it will dictate how much they invest in the position next year. Cody is in the driver's seat. I think he's worth rostering an IDP, either as a waiver wire pickup or drafting very, very late. San Francisco 49ers. The priority was clear. Reload this defense. They got multiple day one starters. Winners. Juwan Jennings. Time to shine, you crazy diamond. And maybe get paid. Losers. Isaac Guerendo. This mid-round lottery ticket just got competition from a mid-round lottery ticket. How rude. In the second round, they took Nick Martin, linebacker out of Oklahoma State. Every snap is at high speed. He's the perfect spy for a mobile quarterback. But he's more than speed. He plays with great vision and awareness. He could chase down ball carriers and bring negative plays. He was first team All-12 Big Conference. He was a team captain. He was projected to go in the fourth round. I cannot imagine why. Martin is 6 foot, barely, 221 pounds, so he's a little shorter than the ideal for the position. But look at those metrics. He runs a 4.53 with an 85th percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 8.55. In college, he had 4 years of production, 203 tackles, 24 for a loss, 7 sacks, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles forced. He missed 7 games last year with a knee injury. The depth chart is him, or it's his to lose. Dre Greenlaw is gone. He's a second-round pick. You figure it out. Jalen Graham and Curtis Robinson. Graham is 24 years old. He's on a 1-year deal. Robinson is 26 years old. He's on a 1-year deal. Love his tape, love his metrics. I'm not gonna ding him for being short. Maybe he's the prince of linebackers. Plus, he was plenty productive in college. That didn't seem to hurt him at all. The opportunity here is a starting role next to Fred Warner. You want Nick Martin in IDP. He's currently being drafted about 50th overall, and he will be targeted. In the fourth round, they took Jordan Watkins, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. He's a high IQ player who runs good routes, good speed, a bit of a body catcher. At first, I thought he was nothing but long speed and deep balls. That is most of his tape. But I saw a few flashes here and there of more. The ability to find space in the end zone, body control to catch away from the defender. It's not a lot. I want to see more. I want to see him in traffic. He's best used in the slot, where he played about 65% of the time in college. Watkins is 5'11", 196 pounds. He runs a 4.37 with a 51st percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 8.79. In college, he had 5 years of production between Louisville and Ole Miss. 185 receptions, 2,682 yards receiving, 19 total touchdowns. The depth chart is Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, Demarcus Robinson, and Jacob Cowing. Ayuk is 27 years old. He's got 4 years left on his contract with an out after 2027. But it's probably cost prohibitive to cut that short at least until 2028. where he'll cost $28 million versus $12 million. Last year, he tore his ACL and MCL in Week 7. Pearsall is 24 years old. He was a first-round pick from last year. He didn't show a lot in his rookie year, but to be fair, he started the season getting shot. A bit of an asterisk next to that one. Jennings is 27 years old. He's on the final year of his contract. He'd be a Super Bowl MVP if they would have won. Robinson is 30 years old. He's new to the team. He's on a 2-year deal. Cowing is 24 years old. He's got 3 years left on his rookie deal. This receiver room is full and good. Ayuk, Pearsall, and Jennings are all capable of leading this team in receiving, and Demarcus Robinson is a valuable depth player. Where does Jordan Watkins fit? If they don't re-sign Juwan Jennings to a contract, Jordan Watkins could be the replacement for him next season. But there's a lot more possibility here in his rookie year. What if Brandon Ayuk doesn't return to pre-injury form? What if Ricky Pearsall doesn't break out or gets shot again? What if Juwan Jennings keeps getting older? Fantasy Pros currently has Jordan Watkins listed as the 74th overall, after 7th round picks and backups to backups. That is crazy pants. He's basically free. He may be buried on this depth chart, but he should not go undrafted. Any questions I have about him, I will find the answers to those while he's on my bench. In the 5th round, they took Jordan James, running back out of Oregon. He's a one-cut runner. He's not particularly impressive in any major way, but there's no denying that he gets the job done. He's got adequate speed, he's got good power, he's a physical runner who doesn't shy away from contact. His comp was Dameon Pierce. James is 5'10", 205 pounds, he runs a 4.55. He's got an RAS of 4.65, which made the little bomb angry. Look at him, so judgy. In college, he had 3 years of production, 2,215 yards rushing, 42 receptions for 347 yards receiving, 32 total touchdowns. The depth chart is Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Guerendo, and Patrick Taylor Jr. McCaffrey is 28 years old, he's got 3 years left on his deal. Guerendo is 24, he was a 4th round pick from last year. He saw the field more than expected as a rookie due to injuries, where he averaged 5 yards per carry and looked serviceable. Taylor's 27 years old, he's on a 1-year deal. Nobody is taking McCaffrey off the field, but James could push Guerendo for backup reps. James is a much more physical back, much like the guy he replaced in Jordan Mason, but nobody can touch Guerendo's speed. Jordan James has to be rostered in fantasy because he's a Kyle Shanahan running back, and I think that's a law. His ADP is currently about 38th overall, which feels appropriate. If you're looking for backs in that range, your options would be like DJ Giddens or Brashard Smith. It's a choose-your-own-adventure book. The last guy I'll mention is 7th round pick quarterback Curtis Rourke. I'm not going to break him down because late-round quarterback picks rarely matter. I'll just say I really liked his tape. He played through a torn ACL last year. He's worth your watch list. He won't take the backup job from Mac Jones this year, but he could be a decent backup in the future, especially if he stays with the Niners, as some of his pluses and minuses mirror Brock Purdy. That's the end of my fantasy football content for the season. I only do the post-draft breakdown here because I need it for my fantasy football drafts. I hope it helped you too. If you want to talk fantasy football, I'm always happy to. Find me on Blue Sky or join the Shut Up Football Discord. Everything is in the video description below. We'll return to our usual football shenanigans in the next video. Thanks for watching Shut Up Football. Take nothing seriously. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
The Rams needed an inside